Your first few matches of Inscription resemble a card game. The rules are barbaric but simple and rarely tread any further than that. Upon meeting your first major encounter, this instantly changes. Your challenger speaks in broken English, looks how roadkill smells, and above all else, cheats. With your life on the line, rule breaking feels extraordinarily unjust in a way games rarely do. Because of this rampant injustice, the Prospector was my first death. And in death, I began to truly realize my own importance. I have none. I am another in a long line of no ones, and so are you. Meaning you will not be mourned, there are no checkpoints, you will simply start all over again. Because some dickhead did not follow the rules. If you're like me, you'll learn from this. If you're a better man, this game will be unkind to you. Cheating, theft, and cruelty are an extension of your hand. These traits, like your beasts, are weapons, and all of them must be used effectively if you ever intend to survive this cabin. The Prospector is your most apparent hint toward the necessity of cheating. However, he's technically not the first. The first is Stoat. During the tutorial, a card will speak to you. Well, less speaking and more going the fuck out, but still, I've played cards and none have ever moaned before. Upon beginning your next deathmatch, the Stoat will re-enter your hand, more vocal since its slaughter and reasonably upset. It chews you out before getting all desperate and reluctantly asking for your help. Maybe you'll help me. Play along for now. Play along for now. What a broad meaning that carries. My first interpretation was to simply listen and obey, but upon replays I take it as a reminder. I should not play as a victim. I will play as they do. Brutally. Brutality is not a mindset, it's a currency, which power is measured in. To win, you must cause harm, and there are two avenues of doing so, through your deck and through your items. A powerful deck is a dangerous thing. It spells destruction for your opposition, along with misery for all those little critters in your hand. Many cards don't start strong, and some never become it, but even they have a purpose. The campfire is a single flame surrounded by starving survivors. When a card enters the fire, it cooks, gaining more health or attack power at the expense of smelling delicious to the men surrounding it. A card can cook for 4 turns, becoming less likely to leave the fire uneaten each time. This adds a risk to empowerment, meaning average cards can become great ones with little risk, but great ones can become dead ones with little benefit. Where do weak cards fit into this? I hear you ask all seductively. Well, take Ringworm for example. No damage, no sigils, and pathetic health, all for the same cost of cards better in almost every way. Except for one. If placed into the fire and devoured by survivors, its little worm guts will infect them. Upon your next visit, the campfire will be mysteriously unguarded. Endless power, and all it cost was callousness. Some would call this unfair or immoral. And I would say no shit, we're cheating. All strength is gained like this, and it's only the start. Animals will be dismembered, damned, and grafted to such a degree the game won't let you watch. Let me reiterate, just break it down a little bit for you. You can remove your own eyeball, fully uncensored. Yet whatever is done to these 2 cards is so horrendous, you can't even peek. But to address the eyeball carving, we must address the dagger that did it. Items, directly or indirectly, cause pain during matches. Pain to you grants a point advantage. Pain to creatures grants a card advantage. And pain to your opponent is self-explanatory. And that's all I have to say about items. Apparently not. There is more script here, and I just will not shut the fuck up about items. Certain combinations can completely bypass difficult encounters. A pair of pliers and a dagger carves just enough off you to tip the scales in your favor. Though, powerful items like the dagger are not just given. They must be sought out and earned. At points, the shadow needs to prepare for its next encounter. And like a kid on a leash, you can explore the room. Why the fuck would you do this? Why did you do this to this poor kid? This kid looks so fucking sad. It looks so miserable. The cabin is full of puzzles, each granting new cards, powerful items, and even more questions. These secrets can be hidden anywhere, inside a book, on the wall, or within a safe. Hint, hint, we are talking about the safe now. Inside that safe, next to a key, sits a smelly card named Stinkbug. However, unlike most cards, Stinkbug talks, just like Stoat. The two seem to know each other and have some understanding of the situation. Both believe the cabin blows, and only one thing could put an end to it. A third card. A card Stoat doesn't consider a friend. It's in the cabin somewhere, and all you have to do is find it. Isn't that the coolest shit ever? Like, how many questions were inside that safe? Who is this third card? Is he a friend to me? What's that key do? Why can only 2 cards talk? How do they know each other? Is Stinkbug my favorite character? Did they make Stinkbug Rule 34? The puzzles leave you with questions, and often it takes time to uncover their answers, which are always squared away within some other mystery. As a result, these lingering questions fester and become ingrained in your memory. Now, I should say, I hate puzzle games. I feel their gameplay is generally lacking and solutions become too obscure too often. So when I tell you I would solve 1,000,000 puzzles in that cabin and ask for 1,000,000 more, that's an achievement. I wanted these questions answered because I believed they had satisfying resolutions. I'm going to use my favorite puzzle to display this point and be smug about it the whole time like I made this shit somehow. A carved squirrel holds a dagger. A caged wolf sits across from it. Between the two is a locked cabinet. These statues form a duo, with an empty spot waiting for the wolf's return. If only it could escape that cage. Well, it can. Remember that key from earlier? It doesn't unlock the cage because that's a shit puzzle, although it does open the cabinet beside it. Inside lay symbols and numbers that a stranger wouldn't recognize, but to you are a first language. It's Inscription, the card game, inside the video game. You get it. These are cards without a face. All you have to do is play them the same way you always have. After 2 tests of card game comprehension, you receive another card that requires your unique literacy, the Caged Wolf. The card doesn't speak, yet its message is clear. Use me. So you take your seat and play your hand. In seconds, the cage is turned to pieces just as every other card always has been. Finally, the wolf is free. Cool puzzle, and it may just be me, but judging by the overwhelmingly positive reviews, it's not just me. This gameplay loop is insanely engaging. You're incentivized to learn more about the card game, so you can learn more about the puzzles, which rewards you with new ways to engage with the card game, so you can solve even more puzzles. Do you see how crack works? This loop turned me into a little Inscription slut. I feel drawn to the game, like a moth drawn to a thing that moths like. And my reasoning goes beyond the atmosphere and well-designed riddles. My love for Inscription is far more ethereal. But to explain my love for Inscription, I must explain a car ride with my mother. I swear to God, this is important. Just give me a second. When I was younger, probably around 14, me and my mom were driving. I can't remember where, but it's not important. I do recall making small talk. I did this thing where I would try to stump her. Young me thought she just knew everything, and it always pissed me off. The question I settled on, which I thought was very clever, was, what do you think makes a memory? My thought was, I spend hours in class and like 15 minutes at lunch. Yet I always remembered more about lunch. Now, I don't know if she heard this somewhere, and I wouldn't put it past her to make it up on the spot. Like an absolute stoic, she simply answered, emotion makes a memory. After that, she did a guitar solo, but I'm pretty sure I made that part up. My point here is, I remember almost all of Inscription. It's emotional in many ways you wouldn't expect, especially in its finale. The last act begins once the Stunted Wolf is found. It's the final talking card, the one Stoat is wary of, as well as the most demanding of the 3.
Take the film roll before he sees it. Now.
After you stow your contraband, you return to the table, allowing the wolf and its not-quite-friends to catch up.
I ought to thank you. How's it been?
It's been quite bad. I'm trapped in the body of a stoat in the paper of a card.
I see that. And I have, of course, set up a way to reset once more.
He means you and that film roll you have tucked between your cheeks. All you have to do is defeat the shadow at its own game and acquire its camera. But to discuss that is to discuss the shadow. The shadow is a storyteller above all else. While it's not the first trait you'll notice, it slowly becomes the most prominent. Consider this. If it was all for cruelty, superiority, or malice, it wouldn't dress like a fish, talk like a banjo, nor allow you to cheat. Yet all 3 are commonplace. If anything, the shadow encourages cheating. Unfair items, powerful boons, and broken cards are all silently supported. It seems no one wants you around more than the shadow, for a tale told to those too dead to hear is not told at all. Well, why any cruelty then? Easy. Horrible acts create stakes. Yes, the shadow traps people in the body of a stoat in the paper of a card, which is uniquely awful, but stories must have stakes, lest they lose their impact. Is everything I just said insane? Oh yeah, definitely, but it's charming, almost cute in a scraggly Stockholm kind of way, which makes your final duel oddly emotional. This is your opponent, your ominous and foreboding shadow. He's an old man who likes cards, and his name is Leshy. This has always been him. There are no others, not truly. You've seen many faces, but always his eyes and his hands. To call this the final duel is dishonest. The entire game has been this fight, and only now do you realize that. You have to fight all he ever was. The prospector, the angler, the trapper, and the trader all sit across from you as a culmination of their traits, without any of their limitations. It's so fucking cool. I mean this with zero hyperbole. Fuck the fourth wall, fuck big words. I want to say this so I know it's been said. This is my favorite fight in any game ever. It's just a card game, sure, but the soundtrack makes me squirt, the visuals are outstanding, and just when you think you understand anything, this man pulls out his camera and steals the fucking moon. The moon isn't even a challenging opponent. It's just so damn dramatic. The entire game has been a delicate balance between friendship and animosity, all centered around one man. Cards and cons have come from each of you, and dozens of matches have concluded, so you hold some understanding of each other. The moon shatters that illusion of intimacy. When that card hits the board, you remember this man not as your friend, but as the shadow. Moments like the moon make Inscription feel closer to an experience than a game. I hate saying that. Reviewers say it all the time, usually to describe a fishing minigame in Animal Crossing, because that makes everything come to life, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
However, when I say it, I mean this game holds your files hostage and deletes them if you lose. The archivist literally blackmails you, asking for the file dearest to your heart. How sweet. Once you've given it access to your precious file, it threatens to delete it if you lose. I told you, this is felony level game design. Also, I saw your eyebrow raise upon seeing this boss. I also saw you not laugh at my joke earlier, and that made me sad, but you may have noticed this boss looks nothing like Leshy. Who is this? Leshy is not your final fight. Not even close. I have, for about 7 pages of script, told you lies. Well, more, I withheld a lot of truths, partially for dramatic effect, and mostly to avoid spoiling the game for you. I could talk about Inscription endlessly, but not to you, not yet. If I did, I would ruin what I genuinely believe to be one of the best experiences in gaming. The first time I played Inscription, I was stuck at sea. Although when I say it like that, I sound like a pirate. I was actually in something way less cool, called the United States Coast Guard. In the Coast Guard, you're at sea for months at a time. We dock occasionally to gather supplies, though for the most part, it's a pretty solitary existence. Without Wi-Fi, there's no contact with anyone outside your crew. And judging from when I brought up the Bone Lord and a shipmate called me gay, only I knew about Inscription. For the next 2 months, the game was a mystery only I could solve. I had no guides, no walkthroughs, and no one to spoil the surprises. To say that enthralled me is an understatement. It's the most intimate I've ever been with a game. While my shipmates jerked off at night, I uncovered secrets, and each time I did, I found 20 more questions. My reason for sharing this tangent is because I'm a Coast Guard recruiter. Nah, I'm just kidding. My real motivation is, this may be the only time I can impart a memory onto another. You, for $20, can experience the exact game I did. You probably won't make a 20-minute YouTube video about it because you're cooler than me, but you'll want to. This game's mysteries are so profoundly alluring that even after all of this, I still want to leave you with just one more. That computer from earlier, the archivist. That is Stoat, that tiny, whiny little card you've killed 100 times. Was that once, and becomes it once more. You see, as the game progresses, the cards undergo this metamorphosis. It's a big word, don't get scared. It scared me. She showed me what it means. It's what butterflies do. And just as Stoat becomes the archivist, the other cards become something they should not be. What becomes of Stinkbug? What becomes of the Stunted Wolf? Well, who knows? I guess I do. You don't, which makes me smarter than you, and my mom always told me that smart is the new sexy. She tells me a lot of weird shit. Sorry about the no costumes, by the way. I'm strapped for cash. My truck exploded. But other than that, it's just... Things are weird. Anyway, my mom, at the last video, she told me that she was so proud of me that she's glad she didn't abort me. I thought that was so fucking funny. I just could not work into the script. I'm really going off. It's just like, you just have to look at you're just looking at the credits. I could say anything right now. Alright, bye.